I'm working on it. Should be good now. Let's see if it rotates through. Okay, perfect.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA strategy show presented by No House Advantage. I am Dave Loughran on the Twitter machine at Loughy_D. Give me a follow at Loughy_D, LOUGHY_D. Joined as always. Now it is as always. It's a lot of times every week by Josh Engleman. Hit that man up at Josh Engleman on the Twitters as well. And I'll ask him how he's doing. What's going on, man?
I'm pretty good, actually. Good day yesterday. Didn't win any money that was significant, and that's okay. I'm flying into this FanDuel slate today with renewed vigor. They bumped the contest back up to 100K for first place. It was 50 since opening day. We're back to 100, which means I got a chance to bring six figures into my pocket. And that means I could buy more half unicorn, half mermaids today, baby. Woo!
Mermicorns, baby. 11 o'clock drop. What world are we living in?
I just assume that I am still on drugs from a while back and I'm still not popping back out of it because some of these half unicorn, half mermaid things that I've been looking at that I've got some money to drop on today is going to be just an absolute great time. I bought a random Korean goalie today in So Rare for an amount of money that we shouldn't talk about. It's just, the internet is a weird one right now.
It's good stuff. Yeah, I spent 3 ETH on digital collectible cards that haven't launched yet, and I don't know what they'll look like. So, yeah. We're on the same boat, pal. But I'll tell you what, DraftKings or FanDuel, sorry, it appears that they've realized that, well, basketball is still king, huh? Until it's over, basketball is still reigns supreme, even throughout the postseason, no matter what it's competing against.
Not only did they bring back the 100K, but they even brought back the better second place and third place payouts at 40 and 20 because they were dropping that down to like 30 and 15. And it was just like, oh my God, it's like a winner take all for 100K. Yeah. 90,000 people. It's actually a decent payout structure today. I'm pumped for it. 8-game slate, super balanced. I wish that it wasn't, I wish we had that 7 o'clock, all the teams play at the same time thing that we had yesterday because that was pretty fun. But even still, I'm locked and loaded for today. Today's going to be a good one. I can feel it.
Yeah, let's do it. And that, by the way, that was fun, but it was totally 100% pointless, meaningless, useless because that national championship game was shit, pure shit, Josh.
I forgot that it happened until after the process show.
There wasn't a point in the game that it was competitive. Not a point. I think Gonzaga cut it to like 10 points around halftime. And then they were -6.5 second half line, not to win, but second half was -6.5. And, of course, everyone was pouring in on them to win the second half. They lost the second half outright. So it was just an ugly game. It was never competitive. And it sucked because I was very excited for that. And I'm not even a college basketball fan.
Well, that's what you get for watching college basketball.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And then, of course, I didn't catch the one that was supposedly the all-timer, the instant classic. I catch the one that was separated by 30 points throughout the entire game. Anyway, happy to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up as you're coming in. You know how it goes. You know the drill here. It helps us out greatly if you do that and subscribe to the channel right down below. Here's the crazy thing, right? It only takes a second, literally a second, 2 seconds if you're also subscribing. So when you walk in the door, maybe you're coming in after we've been live, take that second, take that 2 seconds, hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you like free DFS content and you think we do a good job here on the channel. All right, man. What do you say we jump into this quick lineup study touch and then we will get to these 8 games?
Works for me.
All right. Jump us in.
I'm absolutely gonna jump us in right now, and I'm gonna mumble a little bit because it's clearly not pulled up on my screen, even though I had it up previously and closed the tab because Jordan and I did talk about it, but Winner last night, picking up 100K on DK. Override 79, played 19 lineups. Winning lineup was Kyrie Irving, Svi Mykhailiuk, DeAndre Bembry, Julius Randle, Isaiah Stewart, Luka Doncic, Taurean Prince, and Malachi Flynn. There are some things that I do not like in that lineup, but that's not really all that important because he's got 100K and I don't.
What was Flynn's ownership coming off the bench?
23%.
23%. That's pretty wild, though, because think of it this way. What would he have been if he started? 60?
I don't think it would have been that much different. The news of him not starting came out so late that, like, if that came out that he was I don't think that 35% of the people got off of him when we were assuming he was starting.
I think you'd be surprised how quickly people can pivot off. I stuck with him because I didn't think there were any real great alternatives.
I was 2x the field at least on FanDuel. Same sort of scenario. I assumed he was still getting that kind of run, but I mean, I think everybody was assuming that he was starting once Fred VanVleet got ruled out, and we went with that.
Well, they said he was going to. It was reported that he was going to start.
I don't think that he was at 50%. He was shown as not starting, and 25% of that ownership got off of him yesterday at that point in time. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah, I guess. But you don't think 23% seems low?
I mean, I think if he's starting, it's higher than that, but I don't think it's ultra higher than that.
Okay.
Maybe 35.
35. Yeah, maybe you're right. I was trying to see. I was trying to see
he had
when
7 stocks.
I know, incredible. I was trying to see when that news came out that flipped.
Like 6:45 or something like that.
Was it that late?
I feel so.
Okay, I'll tell you when. It was 6:30. So I do. You get a whole half hour to make that adjustment, right? That's a decent amount of time. I'm not saying everybody.
You might be right. I think you might be right.
But the way I see it is against Washington, it was a great spot. So anyway, what about that lineup aren't you a huge fan of? Maybe DeAndre Bembry had a huge game, and I went back and forth on him a lot. Isaiah Stewart had 4 blocks in the first 5 minutes. I was pretty satisfied with that. I'm sorry. Yeah, Taurean Prince is who I went back and forth on. I didn't even consider DeAndre Bembry. And I can assure you that I wouldn't have played Bembry and Malachi Flynn in the same lineup because I thought if one guy benefited the most from Bembry not playing a lot as a starter, it was going to be Flynn because Nick Nurse, I know they're not the same position, but Nick Nurse runs very, very condensed rotations. I say it all the time. I thought you'd see Bembry get that, 4 or 5 minute first rotation in the first and third quarter, and then Flynn would come in and just get a lot of minutes off the bench so you could stagger your guard rotation. Yeah.
And look, when push comes to shove, this lineup and most lineups are going to look a lot different if Malachi Flynn doesn't have 4 steals and 3 blocks. Like that's changing up the game just a little bit. When you fall into 7 stocks and you're 3,500, you're probably going to be in good shape one way or the other.
But even if you took that away, he still has 29 DraftKings points. At 3,500, that wouldn't be all that bad,
No, not at all. Not at all. That would be more than functional. It's not going to get you to the promised land, I would imagine. But all right, what's the highest ranked lineup that doesn't have Malachi Flynn? That's a good question, right? Shit, how do you do that?
I don't know. You're the one that's the whiz with the lineup study.
I know, and nobody beats the whiz.
Apparently, only the whiz beats the whiz.
It seems it. I don't know how to exclude in this scenario.
Whatever.
Anyway. Yeah.
What's funny though is you talk about all the time. Both of us do pay up to be contrarian spots, but not paying up to be contrarian in that no one else is paying up, but paying up at a spot that no one else is paying up for while paying up for other spots. And what I mean by that is there was no Karl Anthony Towns in this lineup. There was no Russell Westbrook in this lineup.
No.
He went with Julius Randle and he went with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving was 2.3% owned last night. Randle 8.7.
Yep. And Luka was 13.6. What were Westbrook and Towns? Now, Westbrook was great. Don't get me wrong. He was good once again. But I'm assuming getting Irving at $1,100 less allowed him to do a little bit more. But yeah, he punted a lot, though. Let's not ignore that. Bembry, 3,100. Stewart, 4,000. Taurean Prince, 3,800. Malachi Flynn, 3,500. pure stars and scrubs lineup that just so happened to have all of those cheap guys pop off.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook ended up coming in a crisp 58% owned, which to me is ludicrous for yesterday. Look, I liked him and all, but for Russ to be 58% owned and James Harden to be 16, like obviously that worked out as well as it possibly could. That disparity is insane.
It is, but Westbrook has been the biggest sure thing in DFS over the last month.
And yet the team still sucks.
They're
surprise,
trash,
surprise.
Yeah, it's bad. Chicago, Indiana, let's make this happen. The Chicago Bulls, we've got the Bulls in Indiana, might not have Sabonis. Didn't practice yesterday, not officially out, but the Bulls 1-point favorites on the road. You know what that tells me, Josh? That tells me that we might not have Domantas Sabonis or Malcolm Brogdon today, but I won't read too far into it. What are your thoughts on the Chicago Bulls? Then we'll jump into this mess of a Pacers team right now.
Well, if it helps, I read into it. So we can talk about that when we get to Indiana. But on the Chicago side, we can go a couple different directions. So Zach Levine is 7,200 on FanDuel, 7,800 on DraftKings. I'm a big fan, particularly of that price tag on FanDuel. This is a guy that was over 9K recently. Now, I think he was over his head a little bit there, but I also think 7,200 is way too low. He's been at a fantasy point per minute over the last 30 days. To me, that's a little bit below where he should be, but I think he's or at least he was a little dinged up. If he's back and playing, I've got him at 1.15. To me, that works out perfectly. Bit of a pace up spot for Chicago. I'm happy to get to Patrick Williams as a value play on both sites, 4,500, 4,400. He's not really fun to get to, but value is mildly limited so far. The one guy that I do want to touch on a little bit, $4,700 on FanDuel, $4,500 on DraftKings. I have at least a little bit of interest in Lauri Markkanen. He has not been great as of late, and he is playing more limited minutes, but I do like that price tag given his upside. So Levine, Patrick Williams, and Lauri Markkanen are the three guys that I'm looking at most. And if you want to get to Vooch, the $8,700 price tag on DraftKings, I think looks a little bit better than the $8,800 on DK. I just have better center options, particularly in this game.
Brandon Marion, guys, throw some likes for these two. Best combo besides them plus Alex. Okay, so I guess it's saying if it were the three of us, it would be the best 3-man combo. But this right here is the best 2-man combo. I agree with that.
I think it's pretty clear. You know what?
Not to self-flatulate, but I think this is the best combo.
We're bringing two different things in the shows because I think that the deeper dive with you and Adam is the best show that is in the industry. You and I are doing something a little bit different with the strategy show. It's a comparable show to the deeper dive in that we are going game by game, but we are getting a little bit more loose when we have the opportunity.
That's right. If only you heard the conversation before the show started.
Yeah. Like you would get a little bit more loose on the deeper dive, but Adam would not hear most of what you're saying because you're speaking.
Ever. Yeah. I'll do a read and be like, don't you love that, man? It's a great tool. Huh?
Yeah. You could be talking about all of the worst things that have ever happened on the planet. So that Genghis Khan guy, real great dude. And Adam's just like, yeah, love him today at 8,400.
So that meteor that's about to hit us in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Heard about it. All right. Chicago, outside of Markkanen, is there anything else here?
It really, that Levine $7,200 price on FanDuel, I can't get away from it. I'm hoping his ownership stays low. Do we have updated ownership yet? No, we do not. When we get that, I'll circle back to see how owned he is. I assume he's chalky.
Okay. So you said you did read into the Pacers.
Yes.
The only reason I said I didn't is because so often just shit goes sideways. You know that. But looking at the Bulls favored on the road, even by a point, I think that's at least significant, Josh.
So yesterday, Indiana practiced. Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Lamb were full participants in practice. Domantas Sabonis was not. So I left Domantas Sabonis out. I have Malcolm Brogdon in. I have Jeremy Lamb in. The Lamb piece, not all that important, but Malcolm Brogdon being in, I think is. The big piece of all of this is the assumption that Domantas Sabonis is out. In those cases, this year over, I'm going to say it's like 400 minutes, something in that neighborhood. Miles Turner is bonkers without Sabonis on the floor. 24% usage rate, 1.4 FanDuel points per minute in the time without Sabonis on the floor. And I'm leaving everybody else on. I assume this would even get better. To me, he is unquestionably the top play from Indiana. He's unquestionably the top center on the slate and a top 3 play across FanDuel and DK, 6,200 on both sites. He's just playing like a completely different person when Sabonis isn't out there. And I'll have you know that they are like +9 points per 100 possessions with Sabonis off and Miles Turner on this year. Another key feather in the cap of people that think that Miles Turner is better than Domantas Sabonis, which is a select few, unfortunately.
Bull says, Laffy, sneaky smart. Anthony Marcus goes, sneaky smart's definitely an insult. Bull says, definitely not. No, it's a compliment. You know why? Because nobody likes the smart guy, right? On shows. Josh, it's true. Nobody likes a guy that can't be self-deprecating, right? You have to, you're the same way. You're very much the same way.
Oh, I'm both. I will absolutely S my own if I can, but I will also put myself down quite a bit.
Right. You're all right. Well,
look, I said S.
What?
I said S. I didn't say it.
You said S my own. Thanks, Ball. That's nice of you. But yeah, I think even though Sabonis didn't practice and is questionable and not out, it seems very unlikely that he plays tonight. We'll have that news at 7. It's the only 7 o'clock lock.
Yep.
I'm fine moving on and just going with the insight that you have right now. If he's out, this is what you do. And he's probably going to be out.
Yeah, that's the expectation. So if he is out, play Miles Turner everywhere in every format, no matter what you're thinking. I think he's just absolutely incredible. This Chicago defense is only going to get worse now that they have Nikola Vucevic at center. So that's another checkbox for guys from Indiana. But if we are assuming that, and we are assuming Brogdon is in, I think he looks great at 6,700 and 6,800 on FanDuel and DK. He's going to get increased things today. Now, Karis LeVert is already 8K on FanDuel. That's a bit of a tough sell. It's way easier to get to Malcolm Brogdon. These guys are basically the same fantasy point per minute type guys. Only one of them is $1,300 cheaper than the other. So don't overthink that one. Justin Holiday is a value play. Sure. The other guy that we really need to talk about then, if Sabonis is out, the guy that gets the biggest benefit other than Turner is going to be Doug McDermott. That's not necessarily from a rate perspective, but it is going to be from a minutes perspective. I have McDermott at 28 minutes, 4,200 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DraftKings, a guy that you should have in probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20% of your lineups. I really like getting to Indiana. I also do like getting to Chicago. This is oddly one of the better games of the slate today, especially with this news that we have in flux. Luckily, it's at 7 o'clock, so I'm going to be happily loading up on this game.
And one more thing, we'll move to this next game. If you are a bettor and you're looking at good spots to get in, this is priced for Sabonis to be out. I think we've agreed upon that, Josh. It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
If news breaks that he's in, jump on that immediately. Yes. You'll have a minute and a half to get in. You have your phone right on. You don't need to be at your computer. Jump in and hit that, because I'll tell you what, if Sabonis is in, that I guarantee that swings to them being at least a few point favorites, at least 2 or 3 point favorites. You're going to get you're going to beat the closing line by a mile if you get in on that. So pay attention, set alerts up, make sure you've got alerts set up. If you're a bettor, it's the best thing you could do. And we've seen so much of that lately, like the Stephen Curry being out the other day, that line, that nothing was set for that. And boom, they lose by 53 points. There's just so many different ways to benefit. And it doesn't happen every day. So when it does happen, I try and really jump on that.
Yeah. If Sabonis is in, there's a 0% chance that the Pacers are underdogs at home against
at home. Exactly. And it's not going to be 1 point either. It's got to be at least a couple, at least a few. New Orleans and Atlanta. So we've got a mess on our hands again, kind of. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is out. And then you've got Hart out. Then you got Ingram and Zion questionable. And then you got Kira Lewis Jr. doubtful. So that's, I'm sorry. And you have Steven Adams also popping up in the injury report. He's in the concussion protocol. So,
I believe he is now probable.
I think he's probable as well, but he's still on the report. I think we can assume that he's going to play. Concussions are weird though. So
they are.
just all in all, it's a lot of uncertainty surrounding this Pels team. How are you playing it right now?
Before we do anything, Pacers are -4.5 on 538 for their projection for that game. So if you're looking for a reference point,
there you go.
Even if you think that's high and it goes to 2.5 or 3, you're still picking up multiple points over the closing line.
If you got it at pace, if you got Pacers, Josh, +1,
yeah,
with Sabonis in at home against the Bulls, you're probably getting 3 points, maybe even 4 points on that.
It would likely be the best bet you'll make this month.
It's very possible. Yeah, it's very possible.
Okay. So for the Pelicans, I just want to touch on that because I had it here. So I have Zion in and Brandon Ingram in, which I think is the biggest piece of all of this. If one is not in and the other, you're playing whoever actually does play. But if they're both in, I am basically not interested in anything from New Orleans. Eric Bledsoe at 5,800 is the only guy that showed up with any sort of volume as a sim score. Zion at 8,900, I think, is probably the best play that you can get to on DK from the Pelicans. But it's really hard to want to roster these guys if they're back at full strength. If you don't have Zion, play some more Brandon Ingram. If you don't have Brandon Ingram, play some more Zion. If you don't have either of them, play Lonzo Ball, play Eric Bledsoe. You could probably play one of these random centers that they've been playing alongside of each other, whether that's Willie Hernan-Gomez getting like 20 more minutes or Jackson Hayes getting 20 minutes again. I don't think that I'm going to be anywhere near the Pelicans unless we see Zion and Brandon Ingram out again.
And if they are out again,
Lonzo, Bledsoe, it's Isaiah Thomas would probably have to play at least a little bit, which is crazy. Right. None of those guys are playable except for like Lonzo and Eric Bledsoe to me. Adams is always in play at 30 minutes, but it's not going to be fun.
Also, there's a 7:30 game. It's perfect excuse to watch the deeper dive, to watch live before lock, because we will have news on this. I'm assuming we'll have news pretty close to the time we get the Sabonis news if we wait on that, but wouldn't be surprised if Sabonis is ruled out even earlier. So tune in for those shows. There's no reason not to. With basketball, you've got to be up to date on every single second of basketball heading into the start of the slate. What about Atlanta, Josh?
Yeah, another tricky one. So Trae Young, 8,500 on FanDuel, 9,100 on DK. Hasn't been stellar lately, 1.17 fantasy points per minute, but he's still a guy with an immense ceiling. So I see him as like a 10 to 20%er, just a guy that you need to have in GPPs if you're playing. Gallo for 5,200 on FanDuel. He's playing about 28 minutes now. I think he stands out, but Clint Capella is up to 9,900 on FanDuel today. That is not a price tag you want to pay, even if he is putting up 1.4 fantasy points per minute as of late. He's 8,600 on DraftKings, which is significantly more in play. Bogdanovich's price is now too high. So on Atlanta for the DK side, they're really difficult to get to. No one really sitting on a price tag that I think is truly appealing. On the FanDuel side, it's basically just Trae Young and Gallo. It's just a tough spot for Atlanta, just given the way people have been out and where their salaries have gone.
Okay. So it feels like this would have been a game with a little bit more, but as it stands right now, there just isn't.
Correct.
Fair enough. Let's talk about Philly and Boston, then make sure we get through all of these games in time. Philly, 1.5 point favorites, 222 total here. Joel Embiid came back on Saturday, rested on Sunday. The Sixers got smoked by the Grizzlies because Josh would disagree, but Ben Simmons just kind of doesn't remember how to play basketball at this stage of his career. And now you've got Joel Embiid back against the Boston Celtics. So they are healthy right now, other than like a questionable Tyrese Maxey. First time in a little while that we've had a healthy Sixers team against the Boston team that's been pretty disappointing all year long and actually isn't that great defensively. What are you doing with Joel Embiid today would be the biggest question for me.
Mostly skipping him in lieu of Ben Simmons, but we'll get to that.
Oh, my God.
Joel Embiid is 10-8 on FanDuel, 10-2 on DraftKings. I gave him 33 minutes, 1.52 fantasy points per minute. He looks solid. I wouldn't talk anybody out of playing Joel Embiid. It should be a really nice spot. If Robert Williams can stay out of foul trouble, that would be kind of interesting. And Embiid has been playing like one of the top 5 fantasy players in the league so far this year, but that's a pretty healthy price tag across both sites. We've got Giannis Antetokounmpo on the slate today, who I think is in a better spot on both FanDuel and DraftKings relative to salary. I prefer Jokic's matchup against Detroit on FanDuel and DK more so than Joel Embiid in this spot. And I think that you have to at least be slightly worried about his true minutes ceiling. I don't know if 35 or 36 is there, if it's a close game just yet. We shall see. Like I said, I gave him 33 minutes. The real guy that I want to go to is Ben Simmons on FanDuel. He's still 7,400. To me, that is wildly underpriced. He's not going to be 7,400 a month from now.
If he's going to be 5,700.
I think, okay. I assume we'd be on the same side of this bet, but if I said, what is Ben Simmons' price in a month from now on FanDuel, there's no chance you're taking less than 7,400.
I'm taking under 8,000.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Even if you tell me that he's supposed to be 7,900 at the end of this month, you're getting Ben Simmons at a $500 discount today.
I'm not sure I'd play him at 5,800 right now.
I can't with you, man. I can't with you.
No. All right. For real, though, 7,400 does not seem like a great discount to me.
Well, luckily you're the host and I'm the analyst, so I can let everybody know how to do this math. Play Ben Simmons at 7,400 on FanDuel. Don't overthink it, people. 25% of the time he's in the optimal lineup. Don't play him nearly as much at 8,500 on DraftKings, a price tag that is not nearly as appealing.
Sometimes, though, you just got to use intuition, Josh.
Yep, that is what we preach here at Awesemo.com. Ignore the data, use your gut.
That is how the big guys win around here. Just go with your gut. No, yes. In all seriousness, that's not true. But I do think that there are spots where the math takes you takes you far enough.
Yeah.
But then the math always changes if there's something external. Like you have to hear what I'm saying, right? Like the math ultimately always changes if there's some externalities that force it to. And sometimes when you're reliant solely on the math, you can't catch up in time until you have enough data to give you that answer. That's all I'm saying.
Look, when push comes to shove, Ben Simmons is still at 1.03 FanDuel points per minute over the last 30 days. It's not like I'm projecting him to go out there and score 1.7. I have him at 1.14. This is not a dramatic boost over where he has been over the last 30 days. People think that he has been truly atrocious, but in the aggregate, he's still north of a fantasy point per minute, playing 34 minutes in what should be an ultra competitive game. This is the spot for me for Ben Simmons. Get away from it on DK for sure. But on FanDuel, where you have to play 2 point guards and he's underpriced, don't overthink it. I mean, honestly, I would prefer everyone to be not playing him so that I can get an ownership discount and get the better play. But I assume he will be owned.
Yeah, I'd honestly rather have him with Embiid on the floor right now. So there's that. And I know you would disagree because of what we've seen. And I know we don't have a ton of time here, but the thing about Ben Simmons is that if he had even some semblance of consistency in terms of usage, like in terms of actually being somewhat aggressive or just deciding not to play, that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, 7,400, I get it for sure. Anything else for Philly, or do you want to talk Boston here?
A little bit of Tobias Harris is fine, but otherwise, like I can't prioritize Joel Embiid over Jokic today. There's too many question marks for Embiid and on only exclamation points for Jokic in this one.
Okay.
I really like, that's a good line off the top of my head, man. Question marks for Embiid, exclamation points for Jokic. I might have to write that one down. Can we put that on something? Can we get a t-shirt with that?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it would only work if Embiid's coming back from an injury. So it would be pretty current all the time.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, look, you're allowed to talk into existence putting ketchup on eggs, and then we end up with a t-shirt after that. I'm hitting incredible DFS related taglines.
Yeah, I guess. It wouldn't. Yeah. Nothing else on Boston.
On Boston, we didn't even start on Boston.
I asked you about Boston, and then you started going to Joel Embiid and Jokic talking about t-shirt designs.
I know, because it was such a good line. Anyway, I like a lot of Boston, so this should be great. At least we only have 5 more games to cover in 28 minutes. Anyway, Marcus Smart.
Hey, Jordan, thanks for letting us know we were running late.
Yeah. $5,500 Marcus Smart on FanDuel is underpriced. I think that he's in the optimal lineup about 21% of the time. Happily getting to Jaylen Brown, happily getting to Kemba Walker. Robert Williams for 7,300 scares me on FanDuel just because of the matchup, but he has been everything that Joel Embiid normally is. 1.55 fantasy points per minute over his last 30 days. That is a truly elite number. Would you like to know how elite that number is?
Please tell me.
That's the highest rate in the league over the last 30 days. That's higher than Giannis Antetokounmpo, higher than Russell Westbrook. That is the tippy top of the tippy top.
Who are we talking about?
Robert Williams.
Okay, yeah, he's been great.
Yes, he has, oddly enough. Top of the heap. So I like the 5 starters for Boston: Williams, Brown, Smart, Tatum, Walker. On FanDuel, we're ranking them Smart, Brown and Walker together, and then Tatum and Robert Williams together. On DK, Marcus Smart for 5,600 is my clear top option. Kemba Walker would be second at 6,600. You can split the difference on Robert Williams and Jaylen Brown. I do not want to spend $9K on DK for Jason Tatum, so I assume he ends up being the guy that goes nuts.
All right. I'm actually very excited to see Robert Williams against Joel Embiid today. It could be kind of fun.
I mean, like, Robert Williams is the truth. If he can, like, he's a big time X factor for Boston moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. He hasn't gone up against a single good center though since he started going on this tear. Cleveland, Sacramento, Orlando, Memphis, Milwaukee. Of course, there's Giannis, but he's not at center. OKC, New Orleans, Houston, Charlotte. This is a big test for him tonight. It's going to be a fun game.
I'm really excited for the future here. I think they made a major mistake getting away from Daniel Tice just to save some money. I think they could have gone about that in a couple different directions. But if this is going to free you up to have to play Robert Williams, I think now is the time to figure out if he is going to be what Boston wants him to be as the future center for this team.
Oh, by the way, guys, $9 will get you 9 days of Awesemo Plus MLB content. You simply cannot beat that. It's a third of a month for $9, everything on the site for baseball, ownership, player projections, the top stack tool, which is a fantastic tool. You need to have that in your toolbox going into the MLB, season. It's huge. The top pitchers tool, all of the premium articles, the lineup builder. If you just everything built by the number 1 ranked DFS player, Awesemo himself, fantastic stuff, going to help you win. Just tune in tonight for the Hall of Fame segment. Finally getting that done. Jordan, you and I are going to talk a little bit later. All right. Jordan's been away and I need him doing it. I need him behind the controls. If you use the promo code starting9, you see it on your screen at awesemo.com/promos. You get 9 days for $9, all of our MLB content. It's fantastic. Why would you go anywhere else if you're looking to try something out? If you're looking to test drive a product, right? Why go anywhere else with the baseball season underway when you can get this for $9 using the promo code starting9? And it's not just the tools, by the way. We got an awesome community, so be sure to join the premium Slack chat. Be sure to hop into office hours where you've got the pros at Awesemo answering your questions and helping you better your game. Awesemo.com/promos. Use that starting9, get 9 days for $9. Boom, Josh.
By the way, Zach Levine is the highest owned projected player on FanDuel today. So I wanted to circle all the way back to it.
Wow.
And there it is. All
right. What are you doing with the Lakers and the Toronto Raptors as we get near the midway point of this slate?
Yeah, this is definitely a game on the slate. It depends which team we're looking at least that's for sure. On the Lakers side, it's a little bit easier. We've got Andre Drummond potentially playing again. He's questionable. He lost that toe a couple days ago, or toenail. Sorry, didn't lose the toe. That would be an MMA fight and a finger if anybody saw that news. Neither here nor there. Drummond's chalk on FanDuel.
The finger that came off and he wanted to keep fighting?
Yeah.
What an impressive human being.
Dude, I got a splinter like a couple of days ago, and I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital and get like a leg amputated.
This right here is why we are just starting game 4 at 10:37 Eastern time. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is also why I use Excel spreadsheets to play fantasy sports and I don't fight other men.
Yeah.
I'm a pussy. Anyway, 5,200 for Andre Drummond on FanDuel. I think you have to go straight back to him. I don't know what his minutes are going to be. They mentioned that he was going to be playing starter minutes. I have no idea if that's true or not. I think he's in the optimal lineup about 20% of the time at 23 minutes. Use your discretion. We need to figure out if he's even playing first. Otherwise, 5K Markieff Morris might be my second favorite guy. Alex Caruso on DraftKings is picking up 20% ownership at 3,700. I think he looks like an okay value play. That number seems a little high to me. I'd be more likely to get to Kuzma or Schroeder on DraftKings. And then I think you can sort of grab like Drummond for 6,500 if you do think he gets the minutes. Because if he is getting starter minutes like they said he would, and we give Andre Drummond 28 minutes, you want to play him not only at 5,200 on FanDuel, but at 6,500 on DraftKings. The question is he in the game, first and foremost? Do we even play? Or does he even play the big minutes moving forward?
Right. All right. So does it deserve any further conversation, or do we talk about the other side of this?
Well, this one's going to be pretty much the exact same thing we had to do yesterday.
Cut and dry.
If Fred VanVleet is playing, he's the best play on the slate on FanDuel. He's 7,400. He has massive rate increases with no Kyle Lowry. And every time that Fred VanVleet is out and comes back, they don't exactly baby him. They throw him right back into the fire playing all of his minutes. So I have him in the optimal lineup over 40% of the time on FanDuel. You're just playing VanVleet no matter what. You can also kind of do the same thing for Siakam. It's just not quite as good. If he ends up out, we already know what we're doing here. Malachi Flynn is 5,100. That's a little bit higher than I would like on FanDuel, but he's 3,900 on DraftKings. Malachi Flynn would be in 40% of lineups. Just becomes a no-brainer cash game play, no-brainer value play. And then you bump up Siakam, you bump up OG Anunoby, and you bump up Chris Boucher accordingly.
Yep. OG Anunoby, as you mentioned yesterday, has been playing well. Yesterday was definitely a disappointment. There's no doubt about that. But Pascal Siakam yesterday was disappointing too. I think you can expect better from them, even in a less appealing matchup, because this is, of course, if VanVleet is out. If VanVleet's out and joins Kyle Lowry on the bench, I'll just go right back to what I was doing yesterday, and I'll try and have amnesia for everyone not named Malachi Flynn, because OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam did not get me where I needed to go. Memphis and Miami. Josh, the Grizzlies in Miami are, where's this line at? They're 5-point dogs, 216 total. Is this a game you're getting behind on either side?
Not a lot, although we're showing a ton of ownership here. I don't agree with it. Going up against Miami in DFS is usually a terrible spot, and this is exactly what I'm seeing. We've got Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, Grayson Allen, all in double digits in ownership, including Grayson Allen being at 21% on DraftKings. Now, we're not going to have, who's the shooting guard that actually plays and shoots?
Dylan Brooks?
DeAnthony Melton. Sorry, they have like 27 guys that are the exact same person. DeAnthony Melton is actually out for this one. So we are going to see some minutes get redistributed. But I only think that we see Grayson Allen get like 2 more. And I think we see like Desmond Bane get like 2 more. I'm just guessing that John Conchar steps into whatever minutes DeAnthony Melton was going to play, and they maintain their 10-man rotation. So I think this entire team is incredibly over-owned. The only guy that I think should be over 10% is Ja Morant for 7K on FanDuel. We have 5 different options over 10% on FanDuel and another 5 on DK. I don't agree with any of it. To me, Memphis is a gigantic fade, and I don't want to be anywhere near the ownership that's coming in.
All right. Stress One says, why do you even mention ownership this early in the morning? LOL. Well, it gives you a gauge. It does change throughout the day, but ownership is not us hacking into other people's accounts and aggregating all of their ownership in their lineups. It is a predictive measure that you could do in the morning or you could do the night before. So that's why.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I just love ignoring information for no reason whatsoever. So right. That would be smart.
Well, I think there's a misconception, Josh, that like you can't generate ownership projections in the morning, but you can, and they're going to change because injuries are going to happen and news is going to happen and starting lineups are going to come out, but you can certainly gauge things in the morning. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, why do we even have a show in the morning then?
Right. Well, you're doing the same thing in the morning as you'd be doing at night is what I'm saying. You're just getting different results sometimes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Just for that, I'm going to talk about ownership more.
You got like anything from Miami?
Like Jimmy Butler's 9,100 on FanDuel and 9K on DK. I think that he's probably picking up a little bit too much ownership. I'm fully expecting Victor Oladipo to make this team significantly worse offensively from a fantasy perspective for the next couple days until these salaries stabilize. He's going to take a lot of shots, and generally speaking, those shots are going to be an inefficient way for Miami to run their offense. I am not really touching anything from Miami. I don't know why they're getting any sort of love at all. This is a complete no-go. This is like the Chernobyl of DFS games.
Okay, well, just stay far away from it.
Yes. Don't be an influencer trying to take pictures in Miami, Memphis game stacking.
Which influencer tried to go to Chernobyl to take pictures?
You don't remember that after the documentary came out? Like a lot of Instagram
that makes sense.
Thirst traps.
Yeah,
I don't know. Randone probably did it.
Is that not the most just disgusting culture that we're in now? The influencer culture where, hey, you just go to random places and take pictures there and people soak it up.
I think it's interesting.
Oh, it's interesting. And if I could do it, I'd be in, but I don't. So I hate it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's just, I don't know.
I just think about it like this. 50 million people or whatever would watch I Love Lucy, and that show sucked. Yep. So, like, I'd rather watch a hot girl take a bikini pic at Chernobyl.
But see, I don't know. That's a little uncomfortable to me. There are many other places where I can completely forego the bikini, right? I don't have to be in a burning death pit either. And it's also free. So there's just no real incentive for me is the thing. That's all I'm saying. Or I could hop on Google Earth, which is one of the most fantastic apps ever. I can spin my ass around the world and look wherever I want. I can drop right down into Chernobyl if I want. You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
You don't want to be too close though. That's like 3,000 Röntgen or whatever the word was.
Was it Röntgen?
I don't know, man. I can't remember.
I don't think it is, but the Geiger counter, right?
Yeah.
Is it a Geiger?
No, that's earthquakes.
Is it?
Isn't it?
No, that's Richter, isn't it?
I don't know, man. Matt Geiger?
Geiger's
the old
something.
center for the Heat?
Geiger's the one that goes like click, 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 click. Maybe it's
Oh yeah, you're right. Geiger counter.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Earthquakes is definitely Richter scale. Yeah. Look, man, it's too early. It's 10:45. We're not even talking about, we have 3 games to go.
So Detroit yesterday absolutely lit up the Thunder. I mean, at no point was that game competitive.
No.
Jeremy Grant bounced back a little bit, only played 23 minutes. So if don't look just at his fantasy production, look at his per minute production. He was killer yesterday. Yes. Really good. And then you had Isaiah Stewart. Unfortunately, didn't play a ton of minutes, but was fine in the run that he got. Do you go back to anybody for Detroit today? They are monster dogs on the second of a back-to-back, traveling out there to Denver.
Yeah, so you kind of have to, at least a little bit. We're always going to be looking at Jeremy Grant no matter what. He's picking up ownership on FanDuel pretty aggressively at 6,400, and he should. But we have Sadiq Bey at 15% owned, Josh Jackson in the 20s on FanDuel, which I think is a little bit overowned, but also correct. Saban Lee picking up 6% ownership. I'd be interested in going slightly higher than that. Isaiah Stewart is still 3,700 on FanDuel, still a power forward. We'll get the backup run for Mason Plumlee. If Mason Plumlee happens to get into any foul trouble whatsoever, Isaiah Stewart will directly benefit. He's only $200 above the minimum. I like him as a value option. On the DK side, though, the only guy getting any ownership is Sadiq Bey, and I agree with it. He's 4,300. He's the guy most likely to play 30 minutes that isn't named Jeremy Grant, so I think that those minutes are pretty firm. But this team is playing everybody. I actually have 12 guys projected to play for Detroit, and it could be more. It's really annoying. Well, it can't be more, but it's really annoying.
Okay, so it's annoying enough to just move on to Denver is what you're saying.
They look good on FanDuel, not as much on DraftKings. So yes, we can move on to Denver.
Exclamation points galore on a man named Nikola Jokic. He's come back down to earth a little bit lately, but you'll see ebbs and flows. That's just how this works. And now you've got him up against Detroit. The only concern here is that Jokic plays like 27 minutes because they just flattened the Detroit Pistons. But aside from that, it's a pretty great spot.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic is a 1.5-ish fantasy point per minute guy. I prefer him to Embiid in this particular game, but it's not by a ton. I think that Jokic, if this game happens to stay close, that's fantastic for Nikola Jokic, I think, because he's just doing everything. I'll happily get to Jamal Murray once again. I'll get to some Michael Porter Jr. Jokic, Murray, Porter, Gordon, and Barton on DraftKings between 8% and 10% likelihood of being in the optimal lineup. Will Barton and Jamal Murray are projected for like 3% ownership. play those guys in DK GPPs to be contrarian. Play Porter, Gordon, and Jokic if you just want to be with the field. There aren't any standout options here because Denver is like a 13-plus point favorite, but you can play all of the starters.
Yeah, we got some of the Awesemo OGs in here, people that come in and watch all of our shows and hang out. I know you guys have hit the thumbs up, but we got to get it at least to 200. We're at 536 right now. So it's a fraction of where we should be. Pop us up to 200 if you jumped in late. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And remember, all of these shows, podcast form. You don't want to listen, you don't want to look at our faces. I understand that. I really do. You want to listen to it in podcast form? Go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify. We got you. No matter what. You don't want to put your phone in your pocket with the screen on because you're too frugal to get YouTube Premium. I got you. Go to Awesemo Podcast or go to the podcast network. Check it out. We got it everywhere you need.
Hey, all right. Breaking news for Boston. Evan Fournier out, health and safety protocols today.
Okay.
I don't think it matters all that much.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure if that's actually too impactful, but it's good to have early.
Yeah. Semi Ojeleye, if he is in, is just going to pick up a lot of that run. So
Milwaukee, Golden State. Oh, one more thing. You guys mostly know about it, but No House Advantage. Yeah. Sponsor of the strategy show. You want to build your bankroll. You want to go make money and make it sustainable someplace. Even if you wanted to take it off to DraftKings or FanDuel and put some of it there, put yourself in position to win some of those monster contests, you got to build up your bankroll first. And it's tough to do on some of these bigger sites right now. Go to No House Advantage, use the promo code Awesemo, get your $20 match deposit bonus when you sign up and deposit and jump into these contests. It's peer-to-peer player prop betting, tournament style. So it's not like you're betting singles on another sports book. It's in a tournament style with your highest confidence ones down to your lowest, playing against other people. And all of the tools that you need to win at No House Advantage are free. As Josh would say, these are math tools, right? This is math. Over at Awesemo.com. Alex Baker made these himself, and they're totally free. The Awesemo No House Advantage player prop projections, well, the No House Advantage projections, really, but player prop projections, and the optimal lineups tool, both of them free at Awesemo. So you know about that. Other people don't. Use that to your advantage. Win money. Use the promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO. Get your $20 when you sign up and win money at No House Advantage. Download the app. Check it out. Let us know how you do. All right, Milwaukee, Golden State. Jump into this one. Bucks, 6.5-point favorites on the road. Nice little 234 total, highest on the slate.
So we've got Giannis at the high end. He is my unquestioned preferred pay-up option today. Projected for 20% ownership across both sites, 11-2 on FanDuel, 10-7 on DraftKings. I completely agree with it. You get this massive pace-up spot against Golden State. No one on Golden State is prepared to check Giannis from a defensive standpoint. This matchup just looks absolutely fantastic. Drew Holiday's price is probably a little too high on FanDuel, so I think you would want to go to someone like Middleton or Dante DiVincenzo. Both guys are about 15% owned right now, and I totally agree with it. On the DK side, really, Giannis is the true piece at the top. I do like Drew Holiday for 8K as a contrarian option, although now that he secured the bag, who knows if he ever wants to actually play hard again.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Not for Drew Holiday, but
it is good
a joke. He just signed in for the real thing.
Yeah, well, he said the other day, he's like, I got paid. I'm not playing no more. I thought it was, probably in jest, but
yeah.
Can you know for sure?
I mean, I would think about just being like, oh man, I've got a sore whatever Markelle Fultz had.
I don't want to get hit for libel here on the strategy show. That did not happen.
Yeah, no kidding.
He did not say that.
No, Drew Holiday is like one of the bigger stand-up dudes in the NBA.
Oh, for sure. Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan. Plus, he's just outperformed Chris Middleton on every level lately. Bro, I didn't get to talk to you about that. That Middleton game was so bad the other night when Giannis was out. It was just disastrous. He was 0 for 12 to start the game.
I didn't see it. And I'm not even trying to like joke or anything. I didn't play that slate. I didn't even know it happened until you're telling me right now.
Oh yeah, he was 0 for 12. Just brutal. And then someone tweets me and goes, "What are you talking about? He's crushing it. He's 4X'd." It's like, oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Solid 4X on a $9,000 player.
Yeah.
What are you doing with Golden State?
Very little, probably. The guys that I like are not the guys that I was expecting to like. Curry is ultra chalk. Don't understand that at all. 22.5% on FanDuel, 15 on DK. I probably won't have him, or at least I'll have significantly less. Kelly Oubre is chalky on both sites, particularly on FanDuel at 24%. I actually agree with that. I think he looks like a really nice play for 6,400. So I'm going to Oubre over anybody else on the Warriors. Draymond for 6,700 on DK also looks pretty good. But again, he's picking up ownership that I wouldn't totally expect. So Oubre and Draymond are the two guys that I have my eye on. If you want to go to completely unowned Andrew Wiggins, I like that as a contrarian GPP option, but I'm not all that interested in the Steph Curry 23% ownership on FanDuel. I would much rather save $2,000 and play one Benjamin Simmons.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. All right. So last game here, unless you've got anything else from this one. We're making it happen here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Portland and the Clippers, Blazers in the Staples Center, 5.5-point dogs, 229 total. So outside of Yusuf Nurkic, who is out with this right knee inflammation, we appear to be good to go. Now, Serge Ibaka still out, Beverly questionable. Couple things on the other side of this one, but mostly it's Yusuf Nurkic and Derek Jones Jr. is probable. Do you think that we get to Lillard, or we get to Annie McCollum, or we get to Enes Kanter today, whose price has actually come down a bit?
I mean, I would rather have Lillard than Steph, and that's even before factoring in the ownership. But really? I don't see any. Yeah, I don't really see anybody from Portland truly standing out here. Lillard would be my top option on FanDuel, but I'm happy to get to Kanter or CJ, Covington or Powell. It's just not a lot of volume. To me, Portland is filler. It's a really tough spot against the Clippers when they're healthy.
I don't like it. And yeah, sure, there's a decently high total, but it doesn't stick out to me at all. No. Plus, with McCollum back, so wait, what about Kanter though? With Nurkic out, he's down to $6,000 on DraftKings, which at least feels like a reasonable price point.
So that was the only guy that I wanted to really mention on DK. We have him projected for 7% ownership. I actually have him in the optimal 14% of the time. So to me, Kanter is an excellent play on DK at that price tag if that ownership holds. I think he plays 30 minutes. Looks like Harry Giles is going to be back in the rotation at least a little bit. So he would be soaking up at least some of that backup center run. But in the minutes where Ivica Zubac isn't in at center, Portland can very clearly just go to one of anyone else. Like anybody can match up against Marcus Morris if it's Melo or Covington, or even if it is Harry Giles or Derek Jones Jr. That's not a big issue. So I really do like Kanter. Kanter would be my favorite play from the Portland game, or from a Portland side on FanDuel or DK. But on DK in particular, Kanter is the best option.
All right. MLB Show coming up next, as a matter of fact, to answer your questions. It is 11 to 12 Eastern with Pete McCarthy and Greg Ehrenberg. So stick around for that. Got a big MLB slate coming up today. It's Tuesday, always a huge slate. I always hated breaking down those Tuesday slates, Josh, because there's no afternoon games.
It's never fun. Luckily, we're going to keep breaking down basketball 4 days a week, you and I.
What about the Clippers? Yes, we are.
So ownership is coming into Kawhi and Paul George. Surprise, surprise. I would prefer Kawhi Leonard on FanDuel to Paul George. They're separated by $800. Ownership is neutral, so I have no big issue there. Paul George picking up a ton of ownership, though, on DraftKings, where he is $8,100, $1,100 cheaper than Kawhi Leonard. I have to prefer Paul George there, but I do have at least a little bit of a concern with the ownership. I think that you can pivot off of it at least a little bit. Zubac for 5,400 would be my other main priority coming from the Clippers on the DK side. He is also picking up a little bit of love, but I agree with it. Kawhi and Marcus Morris would be secondary options for me.
All right. Well, it looks like we did it, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us through the entire show. It's only 55 minutes at this point, so
yeah. I mean, look, we got through it. Like, we didn't really cut anything.
You didn't cut corners, no cutting corners. We pulled it off. Hey guys, hit that thumbs up one more time, and remember, if you want to join the Awesemo YouTube channel, hit that little join button right there. Get some cool little perks, and you become part of the exclusive club as well. I'm gonna give some of these hats away soon too, if you want one. They're pretty sweet Awesemo hats.
How do I win one of those?
Why don't you just ask for one? You want me to order you one?
Yeah.
Go on. All right. Yeah. Tell me what color, I'll get you one. You guys too. We'll do something fun. Stick around. We got tons of shows coming up throughout the day. And remember, starting 9, All one word. 9 days, $9. Awesemo.com/promos. See you soon.